Hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori La Bey, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation, as usual, as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Effortlessly, that's the way it was. Happened so naturally, I did not know it was love.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori La Bey, and for those of you that are new to our show, Alzheimer Speaks is about sound information, not just sound bites. We're true talk radio with a mission to raise all voices around the world, big and small. From the person who's diagnosed to the top researchers in the world. Everyone is welcome here, and you can call in if you'd like to join the conversation at 323-870-4602. That's 323-870-4602. I'm hoping everyone is safe and is staying healthy out there. I know this is scary times. We will talk a little bit about COVID on the show as well. I think people just need more ideas on how to stay connected and protected and yet still need their educational information. We're going to be talking with Arlieta Hall, and we're going to be talking about confronting dementia. But before I introduce her to you, I want to thank all of you. You see, your likes, your clicks, and your shares have gotten us international attention and expanded our brand footprint, and I can't thank you enough for doing that. And I hope that you will continue to like, click, and share this show with your sphere, because it's so important for people to be connected, even more so when we're dealing with being self-isolating and shutdowns going around the world. I do want to give a couple of shout-outs. One, to the Memory Cafe directory. A lot of people belong to memory cafes. Many of you might not know what they are. They're basically a gathering of people, typically people with dementia, that are either have MCI or are early to mid stages, and their care partners. And needless to say, those groups aren't meeting right now. Some of those have gone online. You can go to the Memory Cafe directory, see if there's one in your area, and always call and check to see what the status is. I know I've put mine online, and anyone is welcome to join us there. I also want to let you know that we're going to do a special weekly open mic. This week we're going to be doing it at Friday afternoon, and again, everyone is welcome to join us to hear not only what's scary, but what are the positive things that you're seeing? What's occurring? What are some tips and techniques that you can share with others? Let me see. Oh, I just got a notice from Live to Be Healthy, and they are a fitness organization, and they are going to be doing some virtual classes. So check out Live and then the number 2, the letter B, and then Healthy, to find out what's going on in your neck of the woods. I also got a notice for an opportunity for a telephone interview. The Center for Information and Study on Clinical Research Participation is planning to conduct a 1-hour telephone interview with patients living with mild cognitive impairment or people caring for a loved one with mild cognitive impairment. Now, they're not going to try to coerce you into trials. Their goal really is to learn from patients and their support network how best to improve the clinical experience for future volunteers. And you can, they're doing this through the end of March here, so not a whole lot longer, but you can call 617-725-2750, extension 402. I'll say that one more time. 617-725-2750, extension 402. and they would love to hear from you. Last, I just want to give a shout out to our friend Keith Gallus, who is an executive director, helping families with all their difficult questions. And I know right now, I'm sure he's hunkering down like all of our healthcare workers are. They're just doubling down, trying to keep up with protocol changes and protect and serve those living with dementia, as well as their families the best he can. But Keith wrote this book called Parental Dementia, A Guide Through All the Difficult Questions. And it's a wonderful resource. If maybe you don't need it, maybe you know someone who's dealing with this, it would be really helpful for them. You can go to parentaldementia.com, and all Alzheimer's Speaks listeners can get a discount by using the code word Lori, Lori. Again, the code word Lori, by going to parentaldementia.com. But you can also order the book on Amazon or through Barnes & Noble, whatever your favorite store is. And they did just release it also in an ebook form, which is nice. So let me introduce you to Arlieta Hall. She is a passionate Chicago native. She's a comedian, an actress, a mixologist, a dancer, a cultural producer, and a certified dementia communications specialist. Now, if that's not a mix, and when I mix that all up, all I can feel is energy and excitement and creativity. So I think we're going to have a really fun conversation with Arlieta. She's really on this life journey to find laughter by using vulnerable energy to create platforms to express herself and to help people connect. So welcome. How are you doing today?
Oh, I am doing just peachy.
Well, good. I don't hear many people. I can tell you're Midwest by that. I'm just peachy. I haven't heard that for a while because I used to get called on saying that when I would go out east. Oh, we know where you're from.
Yes.
So to start out, I always like to ask my guests if they have been touched by dementia. If so, how? Do you mind sharing that with our audience?
Yes. So I have been touched by dementia personally in my own family. I currently caregive for my father, who was originally diagnosed with dementia, but now has Alzheimer's. My first time experiencing dementia was my grandmother was diagnosed when I was 7 years old. So, and then my great aunt later on in life, who my Aunt Ruth, was diagnosed in 2011. So at this, and my great aunt right now, who is 96 years old, has dementia. So it has, I've experienced it dealing with different family members. And one thing that I will say about dementia, even though you deal with people that seem like they are so confused, they still know who they are to a certain degree. So I love just kind of going on that journey with them and then finding ways to make them laugh.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think that is so, so important. Now, one of the things that you talk about is confronting dementia and Alzheimer's, and tell people what that means to you and what that looks like.
Okay, so I went through a program to become a certified dementia communication specialist. And in the program, we utilize improv to communicate with people that have dementia or Alzheimer's. So, AKA, we yes and them. So we agree with everything that they say. So for me personally, when I came over here to start caregiving for my father, I had to learn. I went through the program, and the first thing we learned was relinquishing our agenda. So I had to come over here and basically tell myself that even though I wanted to help him because that's how I felt, this was not about me, and my personal feelings will have to go to the side. So that was the first way I confronted dementia. And I actually was in therapy at the time, and my therapist told me, maybe you should talk to your dad about growing up. So my father, just to give a backstory, my father was the non-custodial parent. So I saw my father a lot on the weekends. So we didn't he wasn't, he helped out a lot, but I'm just saying he wasn't in my actual household. So it was nothing that I held against him growing up, but I didn't know that it personally affected me. So I sat down and actually talked to him about it. Just this one he actually had when he first was diagnosed. So he had a little bit more memory there than he does now. This is in 2015. And talking to my dad, and he kind of I forgave him. So to me, that was the first thing that I had to do when I confronted dementia was forgive the person that I was caregiving for how I felt in my life about things that I felt that he could have done better. So that way, once I get that off of me, now I can focus on, now let's build this relationship. So now we have a better relationship. And I know it sounds crazy that when he has Alzheimer's than we've ever had in my entire life.
Well, that's good, though. I mean, that's a healthy way to do it, and there are a lot of families out there that struggle with that exact same situation. I have heard many, many children say, why should I be there for them now when they were never there for me when I was younger, or whatever the situation was, or maybe the person was abused, and it's a very, very interesting time, and depending on the dementia, some of the comments that I'll hear from people that maybe didn't have a good relationship with their parent was, wow, I wish I would have gotten to know them earlier, because over time things change and personalities and needs and wants and philosophies change, or maybe it's the disease that has made them a nice person, or and vice versa. It can be a person was very, very nice and loving, and now all of a sudden is getting aggressive and upset and angry and swearing and exhibiting behaviors that they hadn't seen before. So there's no blueprint for this disease.
Right.
It really is about just doing your best and trying all alternatives there. How do you cope, as a caregiver, with your father and finding balance and not only for him, but for you as well?
Oh, well, I found a funny way to cope. I started doing stand-up comedy. And while doing stand-up, I watched so many people in Chicago. I mean, I have so many fans. I'm a fan of so many different Chicago artists. And one thing I noticed that they were telling their stories, and then I would witness them being honest, like dealing with mental illness, and they would say these things on stage. And I'm like, wow, and people laughing, and this is okay? So I kept going to different open mics, trying to figure out different content that I wanted to do. And I told one of my a lady producing the mic, and her name is Mona, and she was like, I told her about my dad, and I would tell her stories about the things that we would go through. And she was like, please tell it on stage. Would you please get on stage and tell these stories? And I was like, oh, no. So I did. And I did. She booked me for a show, and it was the first time that I ever told a story about my dad wandering off from me. And it was a story that actually, I was in tears. Like, I tell this joke all the time about I let my dad go out the house. I'm like, oh, okay, he wants to get outside. I'll let him get out. And we started walking around the house. And as soon as we got on the next block, he completely forgot who I was. And he started, we saw a woman walking towards us, and he started trying to save her and help her. So I had to go through this big ordeal explaining that he had dementia, and then he was trying to get in a parked car. He ran from me. It was honestly, I went home and I cried, like, was in complete tears. So I told my mom about it the next day, and she actually laughed about it a little bit, like the way I was telling it to her. And I was like, you know what? Okay. So I ended up doing the entire story on stage with no lies, just flat out truth. And people were laughing, and people came up to me after the show that had a parent with Alzheimer's. And one girl was like, your story just touched my heart because my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and we kind of just agreed with her a lot. She thought I was a boy, so I just was okay with that. And these are situations that I was dealing with myself, and I was like, oh my God, so I could use stand-up to actually heal. And the more that I've been doing, I've been telling these stories about my dad for like 2 years now. It's the funniest jokes that I have. And people support me, and they encourage me all the time to keep doing it. So that is one of the main ways that I started coping with it. So, and my bonus mom also helps me caregive for my dad, and she has the same type of joyous mentality. She took care of her mother who had Alzheimer's. And she kind of laughed, and she wrote a lot of comics about it while she was taking caregiving for her. So she has the same type of joy with me and my dad. So with her being that happy, and me learning to just deal with it that way, and now doing comedy about it is honestly how I started coping with it, and why I actually look forward to coming to take care of my father.
Well, some people might think, well, you shouldn't be laughing at the disease. And what I want to point out is that you're not laughing at it. You just shared how vulnerable you were and you cried and how upsetting it was. But we have to use different mediums to reach different people, to have these conversations, to make it okay. When I go out and speak and train, I've always called it emotional-based training. I get people to laugh and cry through the stories I tell, because I don't think until it really resonates in the heart and it really makes people feel that they don't change. And so I think I think it can be a beautiful way to be able to get the conversations open and get people to understand the true stories that happen. And laughter is just such a healing process, to be able to laugh at ourselves, how we handled something, how we reacted to it, all of those types of things. It's not just, it isn't about laughing at your dad. It's about laughing at life and the situation that it hands us, and, what can we learn from that? And, how do we share those true stories instead of, hiding it away? That just, I think, increases everyone's stress level and isolates people much more. But when you have authentic conversations about real life that sometimes is pretty dang comical, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. And to me, that was evident by you having people come up and say, hey, this is what mine did. And again, not to laugh at the person. It's laughing at the situation. And like, who would have thought? I mean, most people dealing with dementia, if they have it or not, they'll say, who would have thought this would have ever happened, or I would have ever done this? It's just, but it's our new normal. It's not normal aging, but it is the new normal for many, many people. And we need to know we're not alone in that. So I want to talk to you too about, you have a statement about if dementia could talk. If dementia could talk, what would it say? What's that about?
So If Dementia Could Talk is a presentation that I put together to kind of show how people that I've experienced, that I deal with dementia feel, and how basically I'm trying to incorporate utilizing the improv to communicate with them at the same time. So it's a presentation that I do at monthly at Scott School of Nursing. It's a certified nursing assistant school. So what I do with the presentation and how I feel about If Dementia Could Talk is it will ask people to listen. So much we go into a situation and we have this template or we have this idea for how we're going to approach it, and we're tied to the outcome of what we want to happen. And dementia is not like that. It has no outcome. So you have to go into it and just listen and then improvise. And I say improvise because when you stay in the moment with anybody and just utilize the tools that you have in a conversation, you can build from there. So like with my father, I've been learning a lot about him because he thinks that he's still a principal, or he thinks that he's still a police officer at times. So I just let him believe it. If he thinks he's the principal, I go right along with it. Like, yes, I'm Miss Johnson. I'll be taking over the math department. And I just try to go along with it so I can get the best conversation from him, and it works. And I do that because if dementia could talk, it would just want you to listen and then respond. Because more often when you respond to them first, or when you have like if my dad does say keep teaching, I tell him, you're not teaching, then I'm just blocking him and frustrating him, because people with dementia know that they are confused. Every day I wake my dad up and watch him remember, for the lack of better words, remember that he has dementia. I have to watch him be confused every day. So basically, what I do is I just try to listen and respond. I try to listen to who he wants to be, and every day I write out this temp because he can still read. So I'll write out, good morning, Milton Hall. Today, I let him know what today is so I can try to get his brain flowing. And then I also tell them, like, today is Milton Hall Day. We decided that you've done such a great job at work, so we want to give you the day off. You know what I mean? I just give him credit and build him up. So I think of Dementia Could Talk. It would say listen, and I also would just tell you to help build people, because you can just let go of whatever it is that you feel or how you feel about them. Even like I said with my dad, I've forgiven him, and that's how I respond honestly to all people. And that's what caregiving for somebody with Alzheimer's and dementia has given me the patience to do, is to just honestly relinquish my agenda with everybody. I don't really go into any situation with this demand of how this is going to end, because you never know. And it opens me up to so many more possibilities when I don't hold on to that ending, when I can just improvise with whatever comes my way. So that way I'm in a moment and I can do whatever I need to do, instead of just being so tied to one thing. So that's how I feel about Dementia Could Talk. And what I'm going to do with that presentation, since now we have all been quarantined, I will be posting on my website to do a live webinar about it, just to give the information to medical professionals that are still out here dealing with people with dementia and Alzheimer's, so that way they can look at it from a better aspect, and maybe I can help give them some tools to deal with in the crisis right now.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And living in the moment, and like you said, being able to not judge or direct where things are going, but just let them be in the driver's seat, and making sure that they're comfortable and feel safe, is so important. And I think so many times we get into our routines, and people with dementia say, yeah, but they're your routines. They're not my routines. You do my routines, and the day's going to go much smoother than if you try to make me follow your routine, because I don't understand what your routine is all the time. And, it's a simple thing, but we sometimes dig our heels in because we think it'll be easier for us. But in the long run, it changes emotions on both sides. And on top of that, people aren't having a good day. They can just get angry and things, and it's not good, and it's going to take much longer. Where if you would have adapted to what they need, it's over, it's done, and everyone's still in a good mood, and that makes a big difference in terms of stress and time usage, I think. With that,
yes.
What made you decide to become a caregiver, a care partner, a care companion, and how has it impacted your personal life?
So, in what year was that? 2017 is when I ended up transferring my job. I worked for the state of Illinois as a human services caseworker for the Department of Human Services. And I was working in Joliet, Illinois, and I decided to switch and come to Chicago. And my father had dementia when he was diagnosed. So what I was doing is I moved to Chicago to be closer to him. And what I was doing was working my day job, and then I was working in Woodlawn, and then I would go to my dad's house afterwards. But I was extremely exhausted by the end of the day, by the end of the week, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I was trying to figure out, and people were telling me, send someone over here for my dad. I can hire a home care aide, but I just I felt like I personally was responsible to at least assist him. So I quit my job. I quit my job, and I became a home care aide, and that's what I started taking care of my father in 2018. So I've been here for 2 years. It has been very interesting along the process, because I realized how many people count people with dementia and Alzheimer's out. So even with doctors, they only give you so much information. I've taken him to so many neuropsychologists to try to get more help and to see what I could do. And everyone's like, well, it is what it is. So for me, it was heartbreaking. So at that point, I was like, you know what, if I can be over here and I can make the best of this for myself and my daddy, and watch him laugh and, watch him be all these different roles. And since I act, it's very easy for me to just act and play along with him. it really just gave me a better aspect of life for myself. And while I was doing that is when I became, like I said, the certified dementia communication specialist. I started doing stand-up comedy. I'm an improviser, and the more and more I share my story and started doing things, I've been given so many platforms that have been blessing me. So it has taken my life to a completely different level by just taking that leap of faith to do something different and not depressed about it. Because when I would tell people that my father had dementia, people would always be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so sad." And I'm just like, we're not making this sad over here, you know. I also do a lot with my great aunt, and she likes to sing. So I love to go over there, and I love to sing different songs with her and just kind of read the Bible with her because that's what she likes to do, and it really gives her joy. And every time I'm there, she thanks me for being there. I've been doing, like I said, these different presentations, and I get so much feedback and so much love from these nurses. And when I do comedy, I get so much feedback. So honestly, it has given me a purpose to my life that I was looking for so hard before, and I can see it now by just being me. So that's what a caregiver has done for me. It's given me purpose, and it's given me drive to fight and honestly share my story and be positive and help other people to try to see the same way. If we stay in a moment with life, we'll be able to get through it.
I agree. And that whole thing about kind of a new purpose, it just kind of settles your soul, you know, when you find that purpose in life in terms of what you're doing. I still have a couple other questions, but we've got a caller on the line, and sometimes they just listen and sometimes they have questions. So I am going to pull in a caller with the last four digits of 5995. 5995. You are live and on the air. And who is me?
Hi, Arlieta. This is Michelle calling from Chicago.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing good. I was listening in, and I just wanted to say thank you because I do know you personally, and I have seen your interactions with individuals that's going through this journey. I have watched you teach, and I think that you are an amazing individual and just a game changer in this whole care culture. And the fact that your passion and your experience comes from the fact that you are a care partner to several different loved ones that you have. So I just wanted to thank you for that. I also wanted to say I appreciate the fact that you brought up about forgiveness. And sometimes it's not just the forgiveness of maybe the relationship you had with that individual, but also, you know, people can understand that sometimes you have to forgive yourself. And in order to live in your own truth and not those things that we have created or we perceive ourselves to be, but our real truth, can we walk in somebody else's shoes? So I just want to thank you for just making that visible and making it known to people. And then also about the improv, you are definitely evidencing because I have seen you in action, and just improv is really expecting not to expect and just being in the flow. So I want to thank you, too, for teaching me, too, as well.
Oh, that's so nice.
Thank you so much, Michelle. You are so sweet. I'm trying not to cry, okay?
Oh, no, girl, don't cry. You know, we share gifts. When you pass that down, I start crying, too, and it's just going to trickle down. So, no, I really want you to just receive that because, I mean, people don't know enough what care providers go through, and then also with the way that the care culture is and the need for it to evolve and to continually evolve, to be able to see what that looks like in action. And to me, you are it. So I just want to thank you for that. And I also want to thank Laura because this is a continual thing for her and a passion with her mom. I've known her for a long time as well. So I just want the two of you to know that I really appreciate you for all that you do for the care providers, which will ultimately change the lives of those that are living through the journey, and that it's a journey for all of us. it's life-changing for all of us that is going through. So I just can't say thank you enough.
Well, and for those of you that don't know Michelle Mason, she is one incredible lady herself, and really has a passion to make a difference in terms of dementia care culture, and just I think in anybody's life. Just a very authentic, passionate voice, doing incredible things in her own arena as well. And she's been a past guest of ours, and like I said, I am honored in my job to be able to connect with so many people doing so many cool things and being willing to share that with others, because I really do think that giving people ideas of what you're doing gives them the hope and the possibility of maybe they could do that, or maybe there's something that's been gnawing at them, but they're thinking, well, that'd be silly, I couldn't do that. And maybe it'll give them the strength and the courage to look at that a little deeper and bring it forward, because we're all here with different gifts, and, none of us can duplicate what someone else does. We can do something similar, but we all bring our authentic self to it, and it's going to unfold a little bit differently no matter who does it, even if it's criteria and we're laying it out. It's just personalities matter, and that's okay, So again, one of the things we try to do here on Alzheimer's Speaks is to raise everyone's voice, from those who are diagnosed, or maybe someone who hasn't been diagnosed and has questions, and how they've been treated, to professionals, to family care partners, to businesses. We've had authors, we've had researchers, we've had movie directors, singer-songwriters, we've had teenagers. Everybody can bring something different to the plate, and that's what's so fun about hearing these paths. So, Alrieta, I want to ask you about your Project Map. Yeah, can you tell us about that?
Sure. So Project Map it's a documentary that I developed while I've been working over here at my father's house. And it started off as devotion. So my father is like I said, he's a wanderer, and he can be very, very impatient. He always thinks that he has to go somewhere. So as we would do devotion, and I would, that's because he's very spiritual, we would do scriptures, and then I would just let my father kind of rant about the scripture and kind of take positive quotes that he had about it. And I would just ask him certain questions, and then I would just start writing stuff down. And then from there came, and I realized that this was the only time he was really calm. So I started printing the quotes out and posting them around the house, and I would call it Project Map. And it would be MAP, stands for Milton Addresses Anxiety Positively. So with these positive quotes, my dad would read them every day, all day walking past, and then it would just calm him, and I would even see that he would just promote positivity. So from there, I shared it with my friend Brittany Alflot, who is a filmmaker, and I just talked to her about it, and I was like, I kind of want to start documenting me and my dad, because I had been posting videos of us on social media. And I would get a lot of feedback from my followers. I mean, as you read, I do a lot of stuff, but a lot of people really respond to me and my dad. And they would be like, I love this, I love you and your father. So it just kind of inspired me, I could really document this. So I told Brittany that I wanted to start documenting my father's life and me and him together, and also kind of at this point how I utilize improv to live my life and be a serial entrepreneur. So we started documenting last year and started filming my entire process from when I get over here, when I started taking care of my dad, morning, lunch, dinner, and then my different jobs. So now we're in the kind of post-production phase, where we're editing it now. But I do have a web it's on my Facebook page. It's called Project Map. We have a small sample clip on there. So if you are listening, you can go to Project Map, MAAP, on Facebook and watch the sample clip of the documentary. Please leave feedback. But that is what it is right now. So I'm trying to document my life, but not only, I know that the disease gets worse, but also because I just want to kind of share how me and my father are together and how I am with other people in a hope that I can help change a lot of people that come in contact with people with dementia and Alzheimer's, to kind of help uplift them and give them a better respect so we can stop dealing with it so negatively. So that is my hope, to share my story on a bigger platform to kind of help change the world. I know that sounds cheesy, but that's what I'm hoping to do, with one laugh at a time, one patient at a time.
No, I think that's a wonderful, wonderful mode to do. And, you know, as I said, I watched a portion of it, and I thought it was really interesting, your conversations, you know, with your dad and how you interacted with him. I think leading by example, to me, has always been the best way for me to learn, is to be able to see and then actually try things myself. And I think the more mediums that we use to reach people, the better too, because everybody learns a little bit different. Looks like we have somebody else on the line from a 7762 number, 7762. You're live and on the air. If you have a question or a comment. 7762. Well, maybe not. Sometimes people just like to listen, so that's okay too. No problem with that. I always just like to make sure I give people the opportunity to chat if they'd like. So for you, what is the? Well, maybe I should ask you this, because we really haven't talked so much. How are you guys dealing with the COVID virus, and how has that impacted how you care? And, you know, does your dad understand any of what's going on? I mean, it's also so bizarre to all of us what's happening in the world.
So he can still read, so I'll give him, like I said, every day I kind of try to introduce the day to him and tell him what's going on, and he also still reads the Chicago Sun-Times. So my dad he's always been real heavy into politics and what's going on in the world. I'm a lot like him. He's done so many things. So, but this, I saw him actually go into a room by himself the other day with the front of the newspaper and just shake his head. I was like, oh, my daddy is sad. He don't like this. Mm-hmm. We are in the house, and I wrote a letter to him yesterday to tell him that Chicago was shut down. And he kept saying, Chicago shut down. So I'm trying to help him remember. He kind of forgets, of course, every day, which is kind of a good thing. So he's not in this other mode of anxiousness about it. But for me personally, I know I do a lot of things, but I'm not doing anything else right now work-wise unless it's online, because according to the news and some research, that baby boomers, which is my dad, seem to get it, and they're not getting as much care. They can't fight the virus as well. So that is my worst, and I don't even have fears. My worst fear would be to bring my dad something like that. So I haven't gone anywhere, no parties, no nothing besides home and here. And when I'm around my dad, I have to wear a mask just to be on preventative measures so that I'm not giving him any type of passing anything on with him at this time.
Yeah, it's spooky. It's so bizarre out there right now, and it looks like it's really starting to spread into other age groups as well. And so it's going to be an really interesting journey. I just did a Dementia Chats, which I haven't edited and put out yet, but I will within the week. And we had a conversation about COVID, and, you know, they were saying actually what everyone is experiencing right now is really what they experienced upon diagnosis: the isolation, the fear, the unknown. And, you know, because so many people walked out of their lives. And so a lot of them say, you know, we've learned to connect differently. You know, they use teleconferencing a ton and video conferencing to meet people and keep connected and stuff. And so they said we can probably help people through this process that are really feeling intimidated by the technology, because we can do it. if we can do it, they can do it and stuff. So it was very interesting, and they focused a lot on all of the positives that they're seeing come out of, this really horrible event we're going through. They're, talking about communities coming together and all the creative ideas that are happening. And it's probably going to really shift our world in terms of how we work, how we communicate, how we connect with one another. Telemedicine is probably going to be the top leading thing after this. It was kind of poo-pooed, but I think they're going to see much more use for it, and they're going to be forced into kind of testing it on a massive platform here. So I do think there's a lot that's good. And anytime, I would get into a situation with my mom or my dad who had cancer, who I was taking care of, and when I was feeling overwhelmed, I would always ask myself, what's the lesson? Because I believe in every tough situation that we're handed, there are some huge blessings with this. Do you feel that you have received blessings from being able to care for your dad?
Oh my goodness, yes. That is, it has honestly been, it has been interesting. Like I said, living by faith, this type of hysteria the country's in right now, I'm just going to be honest with you, it's the type of hysteria I was in when I quit my job. When you don't know where your next dollar coming from or your next meal coming from, it's scary. And when you're trying to figure out how to create income. But along the route, I have gotten so many blessings. Talking to you right now and having this platform is a blessing to me, to be able to express myself. We had this set up, this phone call, before this even started. So, before this safe phone call we're having was already in the atmosphere. I've been getting so many things. Like I said, since I quit my job, I'm also an actress. I ended up signing with Lily's talent agency last year. So now I have the freedom to even go act and do things that I want to do. I'm an improviser, so I get to be in a lot of different platforms and perform. So even with stand-up comedy, I've been getting paid gigs. This last year was the first year I think I made $500 in 10 minutes. It was like, what is happening with this life? And I've been able to touch so many people. I mean, anytime I do a show, honestly, and I talk about me and my dad, the response that I get from the crowd, because dementia is so dark and it's so scary for people, it's amazing to me. And as an improviser, we build comedy off of the truth. People this is like step one when it comes to writing comedy. People write comedy off of the truth. So the truth is funny. So for me to be able to talk about a dark truth and then to touch so many people from it is just a blessing to me. And like I said, I shared my story one time at an event I was bartending, and it was two nurses that were at the event, and they heard my story, and one of the nurses actually bought me a massage, and then she booked me to give presentations, and she was like, I believe in you. She was like, and you really have what it takes. And I'm not sure what's going to happen with the country at this point, but I was even booked to be a keynote speaker at the upcoming Chicago's Nurses Expo. So I'll be there to do, but not just speaking, I'm there to do entertainment and comedy. And this is a blessing. I've never thought I would be speaking at the Nurses Expo. I went to college for communications. I was told I could get a job, and I had a good state job that nobody wanted me to quit. You know what I mean? So to be doing the things that I'm doing right now and to sustain myself, I wouldn't take this life back for anything. It is a dream.
Yeah. I know for me, I always tell people, my mom's disease is the biggest gift I'll ever receive, because she just opened my eyes to life in a whole different fashion that I never would have been exposed to. You had talked about the beginning about, getting people to learn to listen. And I would say learn to watch those nonverbals that we have taken for granted or even forgotten about altogether. There's multiple ways that we can communicate. And, my mom's journey was 30 years long with this disease. And she taught me how to love unconditionally in multiple levels, because as she lost more and more, we gained new ways to communicate. And I can't even put it into words. People ask me, and it's just like, it's almost like a religious or a spiritual experience when you are that connected, when you have so little of what the norm is in terms of how we think communication goes. We are so much deeper, and dementia allows you to explore that and experience that, which I think is a really beautiful opportunity, because it will be life-changing to you. And you don't sweat the little things about do they remember your name, or do they have the memory of an event accurate? It's not about any of that. You get to this place of, it's just about pure joy and connection, and it changes your reality, I think, or it did mine.
Yes, it does. It really does. Like I said, I'm a storyteller now, and honestly, the stories that I tell that are the funniest are the ones that make me cry.
Mm-hmm.
It is the ones that hurt the most that are the ones that touch people. So I'm thankful that it hurts when it, like I said, these people in your family, your loved ones, get diagnosed with this type of diseases. But how we respond to it is basically how we kind of set up how we're gonna self-care about it. You know what I mean? So and how we get blessings. So it's amazing. Like, now you have this platform where you can share your story and help other people share. In the essence, we're trying to help people care a little more, and care, like you said, in comfort. So this is amazing.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. I just so appreciate what you've shared with us and your insights. It's really a beautiful thing, Arlieta. So again, people can get to you. You're on Facebook or Instagram, and they can just type in your name, and that's ARLIETA, and then Hall, HALL. So that's, again, ARLIETA, and then Hall, HALL, for Instagram and Facebook. And your website's real easy too. It's just www and your name, same thing, .com. And I've also listed on the radio show and blog page your link to the MAP project as well, so making that a little bit easier for people to find. So again, best of luck to you. Please keep in touch. You're doing fabulous work, and I'm so glad that Michelle connected us.
Oh, me too. Thank you so much. It has been a blessing speaking with you, and for everyone listening, thank you all for being so supportive. I appreciate it. This is amazing for me. Without people like you all, and honestly my family that has supported me, they come to all my shows, they support everything I do, and they actually help us with my father. So I want to thank everybody listening, and I promise to keep moving forward. I've been Arlieta Hall, and thank you again, Lori. This has been a blessing. Please, everyone, keep in touch.
Will do. And again, for our listeners, please feel free to pass this show on and subscribe. You can go to alzheimerspeaks.com for a lot more of our resources. Again, we are on Facebook and YouTube, all of those fun things. You might want to check out Dementia Chats, which has facilitated conversation with people living with the disease that is just it just has incredible insights, and you can find that by going to our initiatives and projects page. Anyone out there listening who is interested in doing some virtual events for training for staff, training for families, or just even facilitating gatherings to keep people connected, please reach out to me at alzheimerspeaks.com. There's a big contact button in the upper right-hand corner. So stay safe and stay healthy. We'll talk soon. Bye now.
Hi, everyone. This is Meredith from the Senior Fitness with Meredith podcast, where I discuss all things for seniors. From fitness, your health and wellness journeys, how to be all over strong and beyond. I also have my mini podcast called Motivation with Meredith. It's a great, quick motivational pick-me-up for your days. Join me, listen now, search for Senior Fitness with Meredith on your favorite podcast platform.